For over 400 years, the story of the Roanoke colony has been a ghost in American history. 115 men, women, and children gone without a trace, save for a single cryptic word carved into a post, Croatoan. To Dr. Aris Thorne, a historian and tech archaeologist, Roanoke wasn't a ghost, it was an all-consuming obsession. He had dedicated his life to deciphering what he called America's Great Silence. He didn't believe they simply vanished. He believed they left one final message, a hidden time capsule waiting for the right person or the right technology to find it. Aris was no ordinary treasure hunter. He was meticulous, a man who trusted data, not legends. His expedition to Roanoke Island was the culmination of a decade of research. He had cross-referenced forgotten Spanish sea logs, analyzed soil erosion patterns, and used algorithms to predict where the colonists might have sought refuge away from their original settlement. His theory led him to a small, dense patch of the island that historical records and previous searches had overlooked. It was a place shrouded in an uncanny stillness, where sunlight struggled to pierce the canopy of ancient trees. For days, Aris swept the forest with an arsenal of technology. A drone hummed overhead, mapping the area with LiDAR, while ground-penetrating radar searched for anomalies beneath his feet. Motion-sensitive trail cameras were positioned at strategic points, silent guardians of his quest. He documented every step with his main camera, narrating his hopes and frustrations for a future audience. But the forest held its secrets stubbornly. The data showed nothing but earth and roots. Frustration began to eat at his resolve. The island felt like it was mocking him, its silence growing heavier with each passing day. On the fifth day, exhaustion and doubt had them in their grip. The late afternoon sun cast long shadows that danced like specters between the trees. Aris shut down his equipment, slumping back against the trunk of a colossal oak tree, the oldest he'd ever seen. He closed his eyes, the scent of damp earth and decaying leaves filling his lungs. This was it. He had failed. His life's obsession had led him to a dead end. His hand slid idly down the tree's rough bark and stopped. Beneath his fingers, the texture was different, too smooth, too deliberate. His heart hammered against his ribs. He knelt, pulling away the moss and ivy that clung to the tree's base, and then he saw it. Gasping, he scrambled back. Carved into the ancient wood, with a level of detail and preservation that defied all logic, was a face. A man's face, weathered with worry, with eyes that held a sorrow centuries deep. The lines of the beard, the curve of the nose, the furrowed brow, it was unmistakable. It was the face of John White, the governor of the Lost Colony, whose return from England sealed their fate when he found them gone. The carving's expression was not one of anger or fear, but of a solemn warning, a silent plea across time. "I've found it," he whispered to his camera, his voice thick with emotion. "It's impossible. The wood should have rotted, worn away, but it's here. It's perfect." He spent the next few hours documenting the find. High-resolution photos, 3D scans, video from every angle. The carving was a masterpiece, a relic that would rewrite history. The sense of triumph was overwhelming. He had done it. He had given a voice to the silence. Yet a strange sense of unease settled in the back of his mind, a feeling that he wasn't alone. He dismissed it as adrenaline, the overload of realizing his life's dream. As dusk fell, Aris returned to his base camp, the euphoria still buzzing in his veins. He began his nightly routine, backing up the day's data. Main camera, drone files, radar readings, and finally, the memory cards from his trail cameras. He slotted in the card from the camera that had a clear view of the oak tree's clearing. He wanted the exact moment of his discovery, the objective, unbiased view of a stationary lens. The video file opened. The clearing was bathed in golden light. He watched himself walk into the frame, looking defeated, and lean against the tree. He watched himself stop, feel the bark, then drop to his knees in a frenzy. He saw his own awe, his elation, his hand tracing the outlines of something on the tree. But his eyes widened in confusion, and a cold dread washed over him. On the trail camera's footage, his fingers were tracing completely smooth, empty bark. "No, that can't be right," Aris stammered to the empty tent. He rewound the video, played it again, and again. The footage was clear, unshakable. It showed him marveling at absolutely nothing. A cold panic seized him. With trembling hands, he opened the files from his main camera, the one he had been holding. He scrubbed to the same moment. On his screen, the carved face of John White stared back at him, its eyes sad and full of warning. He opened the photos on his phone. There it was, in perfect detail. He was holding two versions of reality, both recorded, both real, and utterly contradictory. It wasn't a hoax. No one could have done this. The truth that dawned on him was far more terrifying. The carving wasn't a relic left behind. It was an illusion, a projection, perhaps, meant only for him. The island, or something on it, wasn't guiding him to a discovery. It was toying with him. It was testing him. The feeling of being watched returned with a vengeance, not as paranoia, but as a chilling certainty. He realized the terrible flaw in his thinking. He assumed the word Croatoan was a destination, a clue. But what if it was a name? The name of the thing that made an entire colony disappear. The thing that was still here, hiding in the stillness, able to create visions so perfect they could be recorded, fooling not just the mind, but technology itself. The carving wasn't a message from the past. It was a warning for the present, a warning that he had strayed too close. The joy of his discovery curdled into pure terror. He wasn't a historian about to solve a mystery. He was the island's next disappearing act. Alone in his tent, surrounded by the impenetrable dark and the oppressive silence of the forest, Aris Thorne finally understood. He didn't find Roanoke's secret. Roanoke's secret found him. This story was a presentation from Shadow Tales.